Hello, and welcome to the Invincible podcast, probably the best superhero podcast in the universe. This is a show where friends gather around and talk all things Invincible, a comic book and animated series created by Robert Kirkman, Corey Walker, and Ryan Ottley. On this episode, we are going to talk about episode 2 and break it down all the way down, baby. At the end of the episode, we're going to have our doodles, which everybody loves, and then talk about some predictions. Since we are watching these episodes individually, and we didn't watch all 3 in one fell swoop. But before we get into the meat of the podcast, I am one of your hosts, Bill, and joining me as always is going to be the sweet one, TJ.
Hello, it's TJ.
We got Wyatt Layne up there.
Hey, everybody.
And Ryan Sidoti.
Whoa. What's up, everybody?
You won the excitement lottery. How excited are you guys to talk about this crazy episode?
So excited.
So excited.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I'm super stoked. When we were watching it, we knew that it was going to be a good episode to break down. So first of all, when we break it down, we're going to try really, really hard. We might compare it to the comic books a little bit, but we're going to try to not talk about spoilers, but they may come up. So just be forewarned. But again, we do try to really focus on the show and the watchers of the show and pretend like you don't watch the comic or read the comic, but you should. So before we get into it, we're going to go over some housekeeping. We don't have any emails in this episode, and we don't have any news that we're going to talk about because we're recording this way in the past. So anything that comes out is going to be irrelevant. But we'll make sure that we cover all that. We go over all the emails. We might even have special episodes for it. Who knows? But if you want to be a part of it, email us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. We are all over YouTube. So please like, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Also, we now have the ability for you to become a member and support us. It helps us create more better content so we can go into the studio. And it's just a way of showing your support, which we really do appreciate. So you can get badges, emojis. We might have some specials where you can watch us record live or before the show comes out. And shout outs to our new members, Glubba Flubbins, Chris Wise, Luke Lizaldi, Josh, Mitch, and Greg the Goblin. All right. Thank you so much for your support, guys. And again, subscribing is an amazing thing for us as well. But if you wanted to become a member, then there's 3 tiers there. We talked about it on the last episode, the 10-year episode.
Like Bill said too, we are recording this pretty far in advance of the episodes coming out. So if you're a new member but you joined like weeks ago and we didn't call you out on the first episode, that's why.
Yeah. It's also crazy. Like we're taking our time recording these. Like this is out in like a week. Like we're only at this point, we're only about a week or so out, which is really exciting. Like they just did the premiere and everything like that. So as of this point, there's a handful of people that have watched episodes 1 and 2. So crazy.
Yeah. I'm almost not ready for. We talked about on the 10-year and the live stream, like the Invincible brain rot. Like when we watch it, we watch it and we're so excited. But there's those people out there that just like pick out the one thing that turns into this crazy like meme or GIF, and I'm really, really excited for it. It's about to get nuts. So we did just celebrate our 10-year out episodes that are out right now. Our Hot Ones Part 2, which it was myself, TJ, and Wyatt joined us this time. So that was a lot of fun. More people should watch that. So tell your friends to go and watch us get annihilated by.
Had some good feedback from that too. It was it's just doing like fun one-off episodes or videos like that are just the best. We obviously love doing the podcast and talking. That's what we do. But getting to play around and do things like that are always really special for us. Yeah,
it was a lot of fun, guys. Please go watch it. So we also, Ryan dropped, again, this is in the past, so you just did this very recently in real time, the first episode of Collectible Invincible, which was great. And that was the watch episode, right?
That's right. At this point, when you're hearing this, there should be 2 episodes of Collectible Invincible out.
Yeah, that's right. And you know what's cool about Ryan is that he always has like a theme that he follows, and there's always a story to tell. So it's not just talking about this cool thing. There's a really cool story.
I think that's what
there
it
as
turned
well.
into.
Yeah. I think other channels or other hosts, I would say, would probably approach that, and it might just feel like an unboxing of an old type of merch, but it really is like a bite-sized story time that is tied into some old merch that like Ryan is fantastic at. So yeah, go check out his.
Wait till you see episode 3. if you're saying that now,
I don't think we've even seen episode 3.
You haven't?
Oh boy, goosebumps. All right, so a couple other things we got coming up in the near future. Return of Battle Beasts. So that issue review is going to be coming up soon.
If you're hearing this, the episode or issue 7 of Battle Beast is out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
so
back.
I'm very
crazy.
Do you guys even remember how it ended?
Yes.
Oh my god. Oh my god. And then a couple other things cool that are happening. Meanwhile, in Midnight City, the first episode should be out now, I think, right?
Not quite. It'll be out very soon.
Coming soon.
Okay, very, very cool. So keep an eye out for that. That's going to be really, really exciting. We're all very, very excited about that. And if we're the only ones that are excited about it, that's fine, because I'm going to have a ton of fun doing it. Anything else that we want to get into before we jump into the breakdown?
No, there's news, there's Invincible stuff everywhere, but we're going to get into it in a future episode. We got to talk about episode 2.
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Are you guys ready?
So ready.
All right, so episode 2, season 4. I'll give you the grand tour. First of all, what did you guys think? Let's go. Ryan, do you want to go first?
Pause.
Oh, yeah.
I'll give you the grand tour said by Eve in issue 31. This one, it took a little bit because, as we know from the season finale of last season, they've broken the rules. Conquest broke the rules, and it no longer has to apply from the issue in which it's coming from.
They are pulling up every script of Invincible, hitting Control F, and then searching for a phrase that would make sense in that episode. Doesn't matter what issue it's from. So now you just really have to search if you want to find it.
I'll say is a very fun like scavenger hunt. So I'll give you the tour. So I of course went through like the all the stuff with Alan and Nolan and everything in this episode. I'm like, it's not in there. I'm like, where else was somebody giving someone a tour? And I think I recently talked about how I loved this era of the comic. And I'm like, there's even her house when she makes it. So I went looking through that, and there it was. But I was wrong about making the world a better place. That is in Invincible Returns.
Oh.
Whoa.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was making the world better or something like that. It was where I thought it was. But turns out in Invincible Returns, Cecil says it to Invincible when talking about D.A. Sinclair.
And if you're just listening to this in the future and there's a Reddit post where somebody's already done all of this, just know Ryan's doing this without that help, okay? We're doing this scavenger hunt on our own and finding these ones.
I will say, there is that post. I didn't click on it because I'm enjoying this. So I do know now that if I can't find one, I will go to that post and find them. Nice. But until then, I think I haven't even looked at the episode titles yet, so I don't even know.
Same. I've been trying to avoid.
You were just losing sleep over that first one, weren't you? You just could not let it go.
Dude, it was bothering me. It was.
I love your type A OCD personality. It helps the podcast a lot because I'm not that way. So Ryan's got it. He'll figure it out. All right. So this episode came in at 48 minutes and 22 seconds long. I couldn't find who directed this. I didn't see it in the credits at all.
Oh shoot!
Did I miss it? I don't know.
The first thing
we can look it up as the show's going.
Yeah, we'll look it up as the show goes along. So before we get started, I wanted to do this before I went into the breakdown and just call out some new notable voice actors that popped up in this episode. So first and foremost, and we'll get into this, and if you guys watched the episode already, you know who I'm talking about, so it's not spoilers.
Yeah.
Troy Baker. He voiced a male Viltrumite and the Galdarian warrior that is talking to Nolan. Winston Duke.
So wait,
Black
was
it just said male Viltrumite.
I'm pretty sure he is Nolan's dad.
I think so.
Like it sounds very much like Troy Baker, so I think they maybe just didn't want to name him specifically.
It sounds a little like sounds a little like Joel, like a little like his
a little
like
more
lower
proper,
tone,
a little more
gravelly,
proper
yeah.
version of Joel. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure
not
it
from
was
the
the father,
if-
and I think you're right. Why they didn't want to put that in credits somewhere so that it leaked, and
Yeah.
also like he also doesn't have a name in the show, so
Yeah.
it kind of works double duty.
Yeah.
Father Viltrumite. They could have done that, you know.
Yeah.
But either way,
Mhm.
so Winston Duke of Black Panther fame.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He
M'Baku.
was Space Racer.
That's
And
great casting.
Fucking crushed it.
Yes.
And I never would have made that connection because he doesn't sound like M'Baku at all in
No.
this role or anything else that I've seen him in. He's doing a very particular space racer voice, and it works. It's so good.
Right on. And then another one here is Jay Farrow, who I for some reason think TJ loves. Like TJ, don't you love Jay Farrow?
He's awesome.
So-
He's a comedian, and he does like
Isn't he Bullet?
insane impressions. Just like Google his name and impressions. Like he was on Steve Harvey show doing them. He was been on like other late night shows doing them. He can do like an impression of anybody. It's awesome. He's very funny.
He does like doesn't he do like the Shaq impression and like Eddie Murphy and all that?
Yeah. The Shaq.
Like Shaq the
Oh,
Shaq O'Neal, Shaquille
yeah, he does
O'Neal,
like
Shaquille O'Neal.
Kevin Hart. He does.
Yeah.
He's bulletproof, right?
Yeah.
Is he
I'm pretty sure
bulletproof?
he's bulletproof.
Okay, all right, cool.
He is.
He's probably
So
just
Data-
doing more.
who
So
did-
Data One, he's one of the guys, one of the brain guys at the in Telestria.
Is he really?
When he was like, did that guy have a mustache? Like one of those
Nice.
guys. And then I don't know how the fuck we missed this when we looked it up online. Young Nolan is Talon Warburton, Patrick Warburton's son.
Oh my god.
Oh, cool.
Patrick Warburton, as in Crunk from fucking Emperor's New
Yeah.
Groove.
Okay. So in one of my rewatches of this episode, I had that moment of like, oh, that moment there where he said that kind of sounded like, and I was like, yeah,
Oh,
but he
yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah,
I'm hearing it now in my head. Yeah.
he's got a lower. He's
What?
got a lower tone that's very much like Patrick Warburton, and
Think-
I'm like,
think
oh
before
my
you
god.
answer. Yeah, it is very
Yeah.
much.
That's
Yep.
crazy.
Yeah,
Huh.
and a side note, if you Google Talon Warburton, the first picture that comes up, he's cut. He is cut like
Oh,
a
yeah.
mother. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
He
I'm-
was in physical shape to be a Viltrumite, even though that's
In-
unnecessary. You know.
In physical shape. He was in physical shape. All right, so
So
before we
so-
do that, Ryan, what'd you think?
So this episode, I mean, we already like great episode. I think, I expected there to be a space heavy episode, whether it was going to be episode 2 or 3. And we've always seen the space takeaways or cutaways to be like a partial episode. I'm glad they leaned in and were like, no Earth. This is the first time it's like completely in space. And I think that makes a lot of sense for this season. But I'm glad they did that and gave us a break from where we left Mark. I was also thinking though, like, how are they going to fill out a full episode of just the Alan Nolan adventure? Would that be enough to do a whole episode? So when we saw that we would have this like decent chunk of a flashback, that is by far, I think, I mean, the Nolan Allen stuff is all great. Excited to talk about that. But the Viltrum stuff is incredible. It's everything that Invincible fans have like really wanted, is some of that lore, some of that backstory of Viltrum. And not only did they like do it better than I imagined, but I think they gave really interesting context to what is probably the most pivotal scene in all of Invincible. And I'm very excited to talk about it with you guys.
Yeah. TJ?
I just think it was like, it's not an episode that anybody was particularly looking forward to compared to other like major points in the comic.
Yeah.
But it was without anything like ridiculously epic happening, like from comic to screen. It was such a well put together episode, like from beginning to end. It was so good. The whole like we talked about this on episode 1, and I feel like we're going to say it every episode about how well they do music montages. It's so awesome. And there's I obviously have comments, but I'll save them for when we're actually in it. But just
Cool.
Such a solid episode, and like watching it a second time, like preparing to record for it, Yeah, I think it's going to be one of my favorites out of the series for sure.
Yeah. Wyatt?
Yeah, I echo what you guys have said, and it really, when I think back to this episode, I love all of the Nolan and the Alan stuff. So much of that is ripped straight from the comic, even the pose of Nolan on with the pillow and everything like that. Like so much of it was just like eating up exactly what I wanted from those scenes. But the opening of this episode and that entire sequence on Viltrum up until the point they cut to Alan and Nolan talking about it is probably one of the best openings to this show, and it's one of my now favorite new additions to the story that we didn't get in the comics. And it feels like every time we do get some new additions, whether it is Conquest's speech from last season and now this, Kirkman is just finding so many unique ways to fill out our understanding of who Viltrumites are and what their philosophy is, what their way of life was, and that feels so integral to this whole story and where this story is going to go and where we know it ends up, that it just makes me not only enjoy this episode more, but it makes me know that every beat that I love about the story that's coming later on is going to hit harder because of these moments. And it's so smart. And it's like,
damn,
when I realized those things as I'm watching it, it's just one of those things where I'm like almost mad at how good it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't believe I never thought that they would do something like this. And it's just brilliant addition to the show.
If it is at all telling as to how we thought about this episode, these have been the longest what did you think really quick before we break it down that we have had, I think, in the entire run of the series so far.
We've been stewing on this episode
really
for
has.
3 or 4 days at this point.
And I, in typical host fashion, will just kind of reiterate what everybody said very quickly. The one thing that I will expound on, I'm mad that you said it, Wyatt, is that we've always been told that the Viltrumites are bad, and we've seen Conquest do bad things and act really mean to humans. But to your point, we get way more context to the way that they're indoctrinated from fucking birth into this. It is not a fun life to live, and it's and it's not even like what we saw before, where during the purge that they talk about a little bit here. It's way more than that, and it really makes you fear them on a whole extra level, because they're a force to be reckoned with, but they their belief system is so strong that it's unwavering, which is why it's even more surprising that Nolan broke free from that. Yeah. And I loved even more about this, how conflicted Nolan was the entire time. The whole time, he still believes in what Viltrum kind of stood for. Yeah, man, I loved all of that stuff, the Nolan Allen stuff, fantastic, but goddamn, and that Viltrum lifestyle.
I think part of the reason why that is, when I said it almost makes me mad, is that it's clear that a lot of this stuff was in Kirkman's mind and hinted at and foreshadowed at in the comic, because it makes sense that Nolan would struggle with changing his mindset if he grew up in a society like this and went through these things that we see children going through, young adults going through as they become adults. All of that makes so much sense for comic Nolan. And the fact that all of this stuff was kind of underneath the surface and we just didn't really see it is so cool. And now when I'm reading the comic, I'm thinking about the Viltrumites in a different way than I was when I read the comic the first time. And that's so cool.
100%. You are mad, Wyatt. Listen to you. Calm down. We'll be right back.
Angry excitement.
We need to take a break. So Wyatt can calm down. All right, so let's get into the breakdown. So the episode starts in space with a very ominous asteroid headed towards a very populated Viltrum. So it breaks up into the atmosphere, breaks up into this, obviously there was a machine inside of it, and it's clearly these little daggers that stab the ground, and it's the Scourge virus that pops out. We get I think he's 18, right? 18-year-old, I would assume 18 or 21-ish, right around there. Viltrumite, who we don't know who he is, but he looks exactly like Mark. So I think it's supposed to be well inferred right at the very beginning. And he's teaching little kids about the history of Viltrum. And he talks about this statue and how no other statues have been carved on the entire planet. and Argyle is the only one, and do they know why? What do you guys think of this part? This very ominous part when he asked this little girl why the purge was such a good thing and what Argyle did for us.
She hesitates for a minute, and then he puts his hand on her head, and like,
Oh,
again, I'll be vague with spoilers, but there's a moment in the future of the comic where another Viltrumite is grabbing a younger Viltrumite by the head very like threateningly, and it made me think of that. It was like almost just a fun little callback. But this scene it's tense, it's terrifying. I think at one point we're like sort of fascinated that we're getting to see this backstory of Viltrum, but again, it establishes that even these look like second graders, third graders, and they are being quizzed in this way where if they answer a question incorrectly, it means death. The next day of their school, as I'm sure we're going to cover, it gets to, you're all going to show up and fight each other, and some of you are going to die. So bring a weapon. Like, all of this stuff is like, it reminds you that the reason Conquest is the way he is, and Krieg and Thula and Anissa and Nolan, is because they grew up like this, and they knew that if I'm not the strongest and I can't use my strength and my rage to beat and kill other people, it means death for me. So I better toughen up and just have that as my core value, essentially.
Right. So he did also, this older Viltrumite, he did say, Argyle made us one, gave us power, gave us the stars, and they talk about the purge and how it made us title screen, which is 100% space. We can see space happening in the background. Are we breaking up? Did we lose Wyatt?
I think we lost Wyatt.
Am frozen. I can still see you guys, but I think my camera might be frozen. I'll try to reset some things on my side.
Okay. It's clearly in outer space. It looks like there's stars moving in the background and stuff like that. So it's very, very cool. Another quote that he said is, all is ours. So there's a lot of that happening in it where there's like these very powerful quotes that they're being indoctrinated with. All is ours, made us one. Like, I loved all of that.
Yeah.
It's almost like just brainwashing them from
indoctrination.
From birth.
Yeah. And Wyatt talked about it, but he says, go find food and shelter if you can, and come back tomorrow where at least two of you will die. So it would be smart of you to bring a weapon. And all the kids look like really fucking evil and vindictive.
Kind of reminds me of what is it, like Sparta? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like a very evil. Very evil Sparta, even more so. Yeah. So we get an older Viltrumite that looks just like Nolan does. Now, older Nolan, like with the handlebar mustache. And even now we're like, okay, so we know this is like young Nolan, right? Like there's no doubt. There's no way that they would make him look just like this. They start beating the absolute shit. And they beat his brakes right off this because a female comes down as well, which is Nolan's mother, we discover.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, did you forget that today is your day of adulthood if you survive? And he doesn't forget. What did you guys think? Like, at this moment, I was so amazed by how good the animation was. Like, every scene was good. Even when they were just talking, the quality of this shit looked so much better than it ever has. It did not ever look like stock footage or they were just standing there. It looked incredible.
I think we're at a point now where the animation teams have their bearings. They've got their practice. They know how to draw these characters. It's not like you're not getting people drawing them for the first time or second time, where these character models have been like refined and perfected, and they've got so many different passes on these now that everything is just looking tighter. You know what I mean? It's way more consistent feeling. We're not seeing a lot of differences from scene to scene.
Yeah. So a couple very cool things that happened in this fight scene. Younger Nolan, Viltrum punches his dad's hand all the way through it, and he's like, "Oh, good." And his mom continues to beat the shit out of him, and there's a very cool reminiscent scene of Nolan beating the
kicks
shit out of Mark.
rocks.
Oh yeah, kicks the rocks. It gets her in the face, and then
it goes
she's
into
got
her
like
eye.
her
Yeah.
eye, and then she like just pulls it out at the end of the fight and like yanks it out. So she's really like gonna murder Nolan here.
So
and the dad comes in and stops and says, "Okay, that's enough. You know, he fought well." And the mom said, and then here he says, "Father." He calls him Nolan. He's an adult now. Let me see here. Oh, so the mom says, "You're as pathetic as he is, and I hope to never see you guys again." Which
I
just
hope to never see either of you ever again. Like, yeah.
I think that's just like they're there to just breed and build, and like there's no
weakness.
There's no like love. There's no like weddings on Viltrum. There's no marriage or anything. It's just it's breeding and building.
And that's why in that flashback in the previous episode, Nolan is so awkward when him and Debbie are like being a couple together, because I don't think couples really exist in that way in Viltrum. It's about like, okay, we're breeding to make a new Viltrumite, and then when he becomes an adult, if he's weak, we got to kill him because we can't have weak Viltrumites around. Like that's their mentality, which is insane and crazy. Like,
why it's bad again.
Not to can we talk about, obviously there was, Bill, you started to say the connection to Nolan beating on Mark, right? And so can we talk about the fact that like for the first time we're looking at that of what Nolan did to Mark in a new light. Like that was normal to him. That was custom. That was ritual. That was, he's just doing the beating that he got.
Yeah. It's repeating how my father taught me. That's how I'm going to discipline you. Yeah. It is like the cycle of
it's not even discipline. It's like a fishing trip. It's like my dad taking me out on my first fishing trip to try a beer for the first time. Like, this is what they did.
Now, of course, it was abuse and it was awful and it is terrible, but it's like it brings a whole nother view to what happened, what happened there. And in that scene, we'll never watch that scene again the same way because we'll know what Nolan was doing now.
Yeah.
In a way, you know what I mean? And again, no future comic spoilers, but way, 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 way in the future of the comic, like I think last issue, it's crazy to see what this now does to the story and how this affects it.
Yeah. This is one of those episodes.
And his dad stopped the beating.
Yeah.
His father stopped the beating.
Which is just a little bit of compassion.
Which is how Mark's beating stopped. His father stopped.
And you have to imagine that like there's a part of Nolan, I'm sure in this moment from here on out of thinking, am I weak? Should they have finished the job and truly beaten me? Because my dad spared me when I wasn't strong enough to fight back. So maybe I am weak and maybe I am not a true Viltrumite. You know what I mean? Like that could plant that little seed of doubt in him. And again, the mercy that his dad shows him is probably that little seed that he eventually gives to Mark of like, no, I can't do this. When my dad stopped and showed me mercy, I was so thankful and it was the right thing to do. I'm going to do that in this moment. Like
maybe I'm just preferring not to believe that was the case because I don't think that the Viltrumites have compassion. I think that that's something that Nolan famously found on Earth and he had never seen or experienced that before. I feel like I just choose to believe the way I took it was that, I mean, just because he wasn't strong enough to beat his parents, who are obviously much stronger and more trained than he is, if they just kill off everybody that's slightly weaker than everybody else, they won't have an army. So I just think that it was just like, hey, he did what he was supposed to do. He fought well, and I'm going to stop it there. It wouldn't make sense to me of the story that Nolan's dad would have compassion as a Viltrumite, having never experienced Earth.
I see what you're saying. I do think that they don't like. I think that's part of the reason why they don't give us like the Viltrumite, 10 commandments or whatever it is that you want to say of like this is exactly how the rules work. I do think in showing that Conquest is lonely and that he wants companionship. I think they're showing that like true humanity and compassion exists in all of these Viltrumites. They're all just trying to force to stamp it out because of this culture that they've been raised into. And I like that only as the like sign that even the worst of us who are, you know, just fully ingrained in the Viltrumite culture can still have a moment of compassion, can still show a moment of mercy. And that, yes, without Debbie and his time on Earth, none of that would have all been stomped out of Nolan by that point. It is cultivated by his time on Earth, his time with Debbie, his time with Mark, and his time around humans. And I think that is the more important factor. This, to me, just feels like Kirkman sending a message of like, there is always maybe a little nugget of hope in even the darkest places, you know?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point, because if Viltrumites had no compassion whatsoever, to your point, Debbie wouldn't have been able to get through to him. Like, it's the fact that he was open to it to begin with.
And I think I agree with all of you. It's the fact that without Earth, they can't get through it. They can't. What happened on Earth is what
stuck in the cycle
changed it. You know, so I think you can both be right. But yeah, that is.
Yeah. So young Nolan gets his first assignment, and they're in this, like, what I think is like a spaceship or whatever room. And the Viltrumites one of them starts puking up blood, coughing up blood. They make a joke of it at first. And then another one starts bleeding from her eyes. And then like, what is it called? A klaxon? I think, Wyatt, you would know what this word is.
Yeah.
Like a klaxon alarm starts going off. So then we get General Krieg, who has 2 eyeballs. He's talking to Grand Regent Thrag about how this and it came. Someone attacked us with an asteroid, and it was engineered to attack Viltrumite DNA specifically, and they don't know what to do. And containment is the only protocol at this point.
Yeah, it's highly contagious. There's nothing
highly contagious.
that can be done.
So Thrag, who we haven't seen yet, we just hear him. He says that we need to quarantine the sick, blockade the planet, and kill all other species on the planet other than Viltrumites, so that this secret can never leave.
Yeah.
And the montage starts.
And let's I mean, I know we heard it in the trailer, but let's all gush a little bit about Lee Pace right now and how incredible he sounds as Thrag, and the calm tone of like kill all. Like, he's just perfect. Again, go watch Foundation. He plays a space emperor in that one too, and he's fantastic. Very different character really than Thrag, but God, he's so good, and I can't wait for every scene we get with him the rest of the season, because he just immediately, you get this like chill from his voice. Yeah.
That is what it is. It's the calm voice that makes it. And I don't, like, I've gotten to the point now, like, not that we've even seen or heard much of him. Like, I don't believe that I read the character like that, but I will now, because it's significantly better than whatever I could have imagined.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear him yell.
Yeah,
you know, because there are a lot of those scenes.
That's
it's going to make it terrifying.
Yeah, it's going to make those scenes even scarier, because we're watching, you know, the near extinction of his people, and he's just like, no, do this and do this. Like, and he's just very calm about it, that when he loses it, it's going to be like, oh no, everyone run.
Yeah. I love him as Ronan, the accuser in Guardians of the Galaxy. I imagine when he's like, and burn it to the ground, like when he does that, that is going to be so epic, and it's going to be such like a like night and day transition between this calm, cool, collected guy, and you're like, oh shit, you are not okay.
I'm so glad this show, like, I mean, because we're at the point now where every major character just about has been cast. There's going to be a couple more for sure, but like, you know, Mark, Eve, Nolan, Debbie, Thrag, they're all perfect. Like, I can't imagine, Alan, I can't imagine another voice actor doing any of them.
Yep.
Yeah. When we were doing the Hot Ones challenge, they talked about, one of the questions was, are we worried about like the adaptation and if they're going to change something from the comic? And I said, with the utmost confidence. And after this episode, I'll say it again, I'm not worried. Like they have not given me a reason to worry yet. And the only things that they have done in this show is expound on the things that we don't know about. They've only added things, and they've taken like the high school bomb teacher thing away, which I always thought was boring anyways. Like they're making the appropriate cuts. The casting choices are incredible. I love this show. I love it. And this episode. So the song we get, I'm not going to take
the episode.
I'm not going to get credit. I'm not going to take credit for it. Ryan, text me.
Okay. I was rewatching the episode and I'm like, are these words? It's like the song sounds like, because it sounds like you guys called
like
out
chanting.
Dune or something. Like
the song is 15 minutes long, by the way.
Yeah. So this is an actual song. I thought it was scored.
Wow.
I
did too. I thought it was John Paisano just getting weird.
And it is what was it?
It's called Ugly and Vengeful by Anna von Hauswolf. And apparently it was in The Substance. Like people in the comments were like, I can't listen to this the same after watching The Substance. So
and the song goes, it's super long. It goes through various changes throughout in style and everything like that. But that part of the song is just disturbing.
Ominous.
The lyrics, it's
nightmarish. It's perfect.
It's so creepy.
So we get this incredible montage that is, God, it's so sad.
Yeah,
seeing this culture just be decimated. And again, they're terrible. They're absolutely terrible people. But I mean, they do a really great job of making you feel for them.
Yeah.
So it shows scientists doing experiments on the virus and on their blood. Nolan becomes infected. Like he's one of the ones who pull his masks off and he's bleeding from the eyes.
You see the slaves trying to flee, and they're
kills them. He kills them all.
Killing them while they're being
the one is chasing them, kills one of them, and goes to chase the other ones, and then collapses. And then you see more of them fly in. That's another thing too. That's just kind of terrifying about this whole thing. When it first starts, and before we even get the Kree explaining it to Thrag, you just see Viltrumites fall out of the sky and make craters, because like some of them would have been flying around thinking they're fine and then just die midair or pass out.
You know what it reminded me?
Collide like meteors. Like
it reminded me of those shots in like war movies where it's like following someone's perspective and like crazy things are happening around them and it's just like them running. Because there's a scene where they're talking and there's just this random Viltrumite that just plummets out of the sky and hits the ground and skids to a stop. It was so crazy. But this scene, no dialogue. It's just this incredible song. So Nolan survives and it shows. Oh yeah, there's like numbers don't exist with how many bodies there were in this. Nolan survives. He is one of one that survived in this entire quarantine. Like all these beds are filled and he's the only one who stands up from it. And then we get a really sad part of him overlooking just the decimated planet. Yeah. He also sees that his father is one of the corpses that's being taken away. And then the montage ends and we see
sending them all out.
They send him out, obviously making the rings. This is all happening whilst Thrag is talking as well.
Yeah.
So so Krieg goes in. He's missing an eye now. He's got his robotic eye, and he says that the infection has slowed only because everybody has been infected. Yeah, and only the ones that are left are the ones who survived it, and but they've been weakened in this state. They have poor regeneration. They're not strong. It shows Conquest being attacked and getting his arm ripped off. So that's how that happened. So if you're like, how can, that happen to him? He's so powerful. Well, that's how. And then we get Thrag say, how many have died? And Krieg starts to like stutter. And he's like, I'm not going to ask a second time.
Second time. Yeah.
Do not make me ask a second time. And Krieg says billions upon billions. And this is when we get the pans out and it just shows the ring around the planet of dead Viltrumites. And then Krieg says, this is it. This is the end of our species. And Thrag says, damn it. All of these
So
quotes, it makes me want to be a Viltrumite. He says, I've been indoctrinated. What can I say? They're convincing. They're convincing. I wouldn't last a day on their planet, but I'd be like, I'm for it.
Picturing Nolan with his head on your hand, asking you any bit of trivia, and you're like, "Oh no, this is the end for me."
Oh no,
this is great. I'm having a really good time. Thanks for this. He says, "We are Viltrumites. We are without end." Ugh.
yeah.
God damn it!
What an
And
intro! How long was that?
Oh gosh, I don't
It's
know.
like
I
the
should have.
first 20
I think it's-
minutes of the
Wow.
It's not-
episode, I want to say.
No, actually,
Maybe
that might
not
be
quite
right.
that
20
much.
minutes, that's a long time.
I mean, they do the title card in the middle of that as well.
Yeah,
Like
it's-
it's not.
yeah.
They don't.
Well,
do
that's
the title
including
card
the Nolan fight in the beginning and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like 15
Um,
minutes at least.
Wow.
The comment I wanted to make on this, and like I agree with Wyatt and everything that he said, because it means a lot for the future of the series, but also they needed you to feel bad for the Viltrumites in order to justify Nolan
Mhm.
the rest of this episode, because in your mind you're thinking prior to this Nolan is rehabilitated and he misses his wife and he wants to go see, like he's a good person, he understands that he's done bad things. If he were to just be acting angry at Thetis, or like all the weird stuff that he said, like I don't want to be a part of this war, I don't want to, like I still have respect for the Viltrumites, you wouldn't understand that. You'd be like, well, you were there, why are we taking a step back here? And all of this kind of makes all of that make sense, and that why he still has respect for his people.
Yeah.
So it's so smart. It had so much impact on the show and everything. So
I wish we can time travel and go back to the like end of season 1 of us watching the show and being like, how are they going to ever redeem or give Nolan any redeeming, personality after what happened? And we knew, I mean, they got in the writer's room and they've been working for 3 seasons now. And this episode, man, does so much heavy lifting for that.
There is just J.K. Simmons, I don't understand it. Like, so somber. Like, I feel like I've never seen Nolan be somber before, like, and be truly like sad and saddened by everything that has happened. And he did just an incredible job of like us showing us and convincing us that like maybe Nolan has a point. Like, Nolan's changed, right?
Yeah.
And there's only 50 of these people left in the universe. Like, who's to say that 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 can't also like see the error of their ways and still have an existence? Could you like exterminate the entire human race?
Yeah.
Could you actually do it?
What he is being asked to do is to help genocide the rest of his people, right? Like, who are a plague and have done that to countless other, species for, millions of years at this point, you assume. But it is like, it is a long like journey for Nolan to go from, no, I won't take over this planet because I don't want to kill my son, to, yes, I do see how bad we are and it's worth killing all of them, even though some of them maybe could be redeemed. Like he has to go on that whole journey. And to Ryan's point, this does so much heavy lifting to help us understand why he was who he was in the first place, and why it's such a struggle for him to just be like, yeah, we're on the coalition, these are the good guys now, and I'm fighting with the good guys. Like, it's not as simple as that.
No, and I mean, this is so much more complex of like an arc than Mark. And I'm not saying the stuff on Earth isn't important and Mark's journey is not important, but Mark being like, oh, maybe I should kill people now. And what Nolan's going through right now makes me kind of like, it overshadows that conflict in Mark so much. It is the most complicated thing that I've like witnessed in Invincible, even in the comic. Like this, what's happening right now with Nolan is the most complicated and just intense thing that I've seen. So we get this entire thing was Nolan telling Alan all of this story, and they're still on the prison ship, I believe. And Alan says, "Did you just make me feel bad?" Which is ironically is what we're all feeling.
Yeah.
And then he says, that that, if there's only 50 of you left, why would you continue your conquest? And he's like, well, that's not the reason why that's not what we're doing. Like, what we're doing is we're trying to repopulate Viltrumite or Viltrum and the Viltrumite population. And then Alan was like, okay, so you're banging your way across the galaxy? And Nolan was like, yeah, kind of. He's like, don't want to put it like that.
Yeah.
And then he just talks about how the human race is one of the few that were suitable for breeding and to continue the bloodline. So they go to Telescria to talk to Thetis. They walk past. There's a funny bit here where Alan's like, people don't do great with mustaches on Telescria. So do you think you could shave it? And then Nolan just stands there and doesn't move and doesn't react. It was pretty funny.
Do we go to the house first?
We go to the house first. So we go to Talia, and they have Alan and her have their, they rekindle and everything like that. And then she sees Nolan and shoots and grabs a gun from under the bed. See, this is the crazy thing. Like, this episode went from like, I don't know what's going on. How am I like feeling compassion for the Viltrumites?
Great comedy in this episode.
The funniest episode so far.
Yeah.
And I think we take for granted the fact that Seth Rogen is a main cast member on the show, because we do get him sort of sparingly where he pops up in these highlighted episodes. And to have the majority of this episode be Seth Rogen and J.K. Simmons just bouncing off of each other and constantly kind of poking and prodding at each other back and forth is so great. And it's such a huge contrast from the devastation, and we're talking about genocide and like all of these like awful heavy things, to then immediately cut that with Seth Rogen giving us some laughs and Tatiana Maslany giving us some laughs.
She's great,
hilarious in this episode too.
So good. All right, so they go to HQ, and this is where they go past Data 1 and Data 2, where they're like, oh, Alan, it's so good to see you. And he's like, yeah, that was pretty fake, but they need to go see Thetis, and this is where one of them's like, did he have a mustache? So Nolan tells Thetis there's 50 left. Nolan says that he'll help arm them, but he's not going to join the war with his sons. So he has no interest in bringing Mark or Grayson into the war, and he doesn't want to be a part of it himself. And the only reason why he's doing it is because, I think he says, because he's friends with Alan.
His friendship with Alan. Yeah, he said, I'll help arm you because of our friendship, but I'm not joining the fight.
Right. So they go on a mission now to find all the weaknesses of the Viltrumites that Nolan wrote about in his novels, or as Alan puts it, his novella. So Talia says they can take a discrete ship, and as it shows the ship in like this epic scene, it is straight up Star Trek music. Like, in the same way that I clocked Nine Inch Nails after like 2 notes when we were watching it, Bill's like, that's Star Trek music. Yeah, it is, but it's not like
legally distinct.
It is. Yeah. But I love how musicians, and Wyatt, you can attest to this, you can make it still feel like what it's supposed to without it being a note. They knew the assignment and they nailed it for sure. Yeah,
it's funny. It's crazy that they're not shying away from this type of stuff. Like, we never thought that we would get. I mean, Invincible and Spider-Man, never thought that was going to happen, but they did a take on it, and I never even thought that they would even attempt doing a Star Trek one. So yeah, it's cool that they're still keeping up with that as it happens.
Throughout the comic, I feel like there are lots of examples where Kirkman loves to do that, where he gets as serious as the comic could ever get, and then you turn the page and it's, Philip Schaff talking, doing their jokes about comics and stuff like that. So it fits with the show so well to balance the two of those in an episode like this.
Yeah. So we get introductions. The ship is called the Venture, and it is falling apart. There's panels falling down. It is just a nonstop joke. And I don't know what Robert Kirkman has against Star Trek, but he fucking hates it, apparently, or loves it. I don't know.
We know he loves it.
Yeah, he definitely loves it. This is just, I think, a fun way to be like, I love him being like, it's the finest ship in the Coalition's Navy as things are like lighting on fire.
Falling apart.
Yeah, he's like, I am known as the captain, and he's just known as the captain.
Yep.
And he's like, and this is Warren, and this is download for data, and then Counselor Tuva are the crew of the ship. So they head off to find Space Racer's gun is the first mission. The captain gives them their accommodations. They share a room, and we get our first of, I can't believe how many Stex bits that we got.
Oh my God.
I do love, by the way, they walk in and it's a moment of silence, and then Nolan says, I'll take the couch. And you hear Talia be like, no, are you sure? We appreciate it so much. Like, it's all one sentence where they
Talia's kind of like, oh no, really. And Alan's like, yeah, thank you. Like,
and then Nolan's like, oh, no problem. I've done my fair share. And then it cuts him off, and it's the scene of the pillow, and they're just making sex noises. And I'm like, Riker likes this show. How am I gonna justify him watching this episode?
It's only once, and it's really quick, Bill. Don't worry.
Yeah. Yep. So
it went on. It was one of those things where it went on so long. I was like, all right, that's probably too much. And then it came around again. I'm like, all right, they did it just enough.
Yeah, it did. What I think what it was doing is that it was like circumventing our expectations, where it was like, all right, we've seen it, and then it did it again, and we're like, that was probably the last time, right? So then we fall into this like, it's that we're not going to see it again.
Surely they won't do it 5 times.
They can't go past 5 though, man.
No, certainly.
6 is the limit. 6 is the limit for sure. So we get Nolan in his new Coalition uniform.
Yeah,
that's a pretty cool moment. So the venture is, the captain is just so oblivious to everything that's going on, and he's like, "Oh, we found," and they're flying directly into an asteroid field. He's like, "There's some pesky asteroids
that keeps coming towards the camera while he's talking." He's like, "Don't worry, this ship, she's a tough old bird." Like,
and it hits
one of my
favorite. Yeah. So then Nolan's like, "All right, take it back to a safe distance. We'll go out from here." So Nolan talks about how he didn't want to kill Space Racer because he assumed that if he did, the gun would have some sort of self-destruct to it, or like he didn't know what would happen because it's linked to Space Racer. So instead, he buried him alive.
There's this ongoing like theme and joke that Alan never like fully expects or is prepared for just how cruel Nolan was.
Yeah, like it's like, just when you had me thinking you were a good guy, like you do something like this. So let's see. They see the Infinity Ray, which is what it's called. Did it have a name in the comic?
Yeah,
it did.
So.
It was
and in the what, last season 2? Jesus.
Yeah, the little preview of the novella.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
Infinity Ray.
They see it laying there, and the gun flies off, and then Nolan's like, "Oh, apparently it's still linked to his corpse." And lo and behold, he's still alive. I was happily surprised with how Space Racer was kicking ass.
The fight scene was great.
Dude, he was holding his own against Alan and Nolan.
Yeah.
After being buried alive for 100 years.
And some of the action, I feel like, is very clever foreshadowing. Again, like slight, maybe possible hinting at things that could be coming in the comic of what sometimes happen when you shoot the Infinity Ray into things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it very much kind of helped establish the rules of what could be happening when that weapon's involved, which is smart.
Yeah. So reminding people.
Anytime that he shot that gun, it was a like pan out, show this thing going, like nothing can stop it. So they're fighting.
The way he used it was so cinematic too. Like the choreography of it all. Like it was such a good fight from beginning to end. It was awesome.
Yeah. So the asteroid breaks apart and they all fly out. Space Racer has his jetpack on, and he says, "Wyatt, I'm sure did you love this part the most? I feel like for some reason you do. Swords and motorcycles, space motorcycles."
I mean, it was very cool. It was very where he says like "to me" or something like that.
He says "to me,"
And I liked the joke that Alan does where he was like, "Oh, that's where the racer part of his name comes from."
And so then he's sitting on the bike, and the noise the bike is making, just like a motorcycle, just it's just, I don't know, it's just in the background. Something about it just seems so peak, and I loved the attention to detail.
Yeah.
So Space Racer's about to shoot him again, and Nolan apologizes. And then like Space Racer's like, what? He's like, wait, what? Did you just apologize?
Yeah.
And this is where Alan's like, oh yeah, he's changed. So then,
also a moment that like sort of took me out of it as I was just overthinking all of it, I think, but like shows how good of a person Alan is that when he's pointing it at Nolan, Alan like stands in front of him like, we just saw it goes through anything, Alan, what are you doing? Like you're just gonna kill yourself, I guess. But like, you know, it's Alan being like, hey, don't kill him, like I'll sacrifice myself even to stop you from doing that. Jeez.
Right. So they talk about how they're, you know, gathering people to fight against the Viltrumites, and then he needs to go talk to Thetis and join the coalition, pretty much. He says, is there food on Telestria? And then Alan pulls out the Canslock, and then Space Racer says, I was buried for 100 years, not 1,000. And so how gross
very
is
famously
Canslock?
Disgusting.
Yeah. I love that Alan loves them so much that he has them in every scene that he's ever in, or in every episode.
And he's always offering them. Like he's
always
very
like, you guys want
generous
some?
with his Canslock.
But everyone else thinks they're disgusting.
Okay, Ryan, hold up one finger. Okay, and get ready. Okay, so we're gonna go through it, and then I want you to hold up another finger when you know when. Sex scene.
Oh, okay.
Sex scene happens. Number two.
Okay.
So we get the bug gathering scene where the skin secretes something that weakens Viltrumites, makes them weak. Sex scene.
So again, we never saw that really reused in the comic. It might have just been a thing where they weren't able to, use it. But do you think we're going to see it in the show? Do you think they're going to make darts or something that weaken?
I think they probably will. I think
no. I think that this scene is meant to be like, hey, if we really have time, we can gather as many weapons as possible. And I think just like oftentimes it does in this show, shit's going to hit the fan, and it's going to be like plans were made, but we got to just make this work.
I think it'd be interesting if they did, and it's like, it does nothing. Like they didn't have enough time to develop it or whatever. Just like to show that it was a thing, but it didn't work.
One more failure. Yeah.
So then it shows
I don't think we will, but I think like Wyatt said, I think it's more just, they needed more to show that Nolan knows what he's talking about, and that's why he's there to provide his expertise. And
cool. So then we get the desert scene. It's a desert planet, and all this species was as smart and wise as they were powerful, and they killed all of them when all the water disappeared off their planet. And Alan asked how that happened. He's like, well, that's what happens because we moved their planet closer to the sun.
Crazy.
And it just killed the entire planet. Sex scene.
And the neighboring planets.
Oh no, that's not.
No, that's the Ragnar one.
That's the Ragnar one.
We talked about the Ragnar
sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
I do. Does anybody else wonder though? Because I don't know if that line was in the comic, but are they implying that like several Viltrumites flew at the planet hard enough to move it?
Yes.
Did they park a ship next to it?
I think
I think Viltrumites are stronger than any spaceship.
I think they had
that's crazy.
I think they had a squad of Viltrumites push a planet.
Yep.
That's wild. That's very cool to like not even explicitly say that, but just sort of imply it was like another way to establish how strong they are, for sure.
Yep. So now we get the highlight of the episode, potentially, Galdarians. They're just standing and their arms are up. They're like, what'd you do to them? And he's like, nothing. Good.
At
this point, we were too weakened with our small numbers, so we hired the Kresh to destroy the Galdarians. And
now, to be fair, I don't know. Did he say that we were too weakened, or did he say that their technology
they're
was
too strong? Yeah,
they were too strong.
He said they were too strong and our numbers were too weakened.
Oh, okay.
I think it's a combination of both.
Okay, cool. It was both.
Yeah,
but
he
still,
said
like that's awesome to hear that. Oh, they're so technologically advanced.
You know?
And even the Galdarians were like, it still wasn't enough. Like we still overcame them. And they ask for help, and he's like, we're still rebuilding, but there is someone who could potentially help you, and they show a hologram of Tech Jacket, and it's back at Earth. So
another great funny joke of Alan be like, "Did you say Earth?" And then Alan's like, "Yeah, why? Have you heard of the place?" I'm just kidding. He did terrible stuff there too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
such a funny little throwaway.
So, and then sex scene.
Boom, 5.
And then they're on Battle Beast Homeworld, which obviously we all remember its name.
Dorn.
Yeah.
Dorn.
Yeah.
In loving retribution to Michael Dorn, who plays the voice of Battle Beast.
For a moment, I didn't think that was right, because that's also a place in Game of Thrones, right? You can Dorn in Game of Thrones.
So they call him their planet's champion, and they look kind of similar to Battle Beast, and I don't know how I feel, because I thought that he was the only one in that society that was like a warrior, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I read it
They
wrong.
all had kind of like armor like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like that in the comic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But he's their champion.
And he said he left a while ago seeking, someone worthy enough for him. So seek out blood and fire. And Alan, again, Seth Rogen's like, all right, so we'll just seek out blood and fire. Cool. Sex scene. And that sums it up, everybody. We got 6. Count them, 6.
It's the rule of 3, but twice,
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I mean, if you know anything about Talia and her tentacles that come out, like, she's got 6 of them. I don't know. Maybe that's what it was. So Nolan leaves the room.
The moment of it, like, oh, they stopped.
Yeah.
And then they start up again.
And then they keep going. Yep. So Nolan leaves the room, and he opens up another identical door, or a door to an identical room, and he goes down to the bridge, and it's the captain like, I'm so sorry. I assumed that you were in a triadic relationship. And Nolan's face is like, and you wanted to be together. And he's like, there's plenty of accommodations for you. Yeah. And the funniest thing I think Nolan could do in this, he's a Viltrumite. He throws a pillow at him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, not at full strength, because it would kill him, but it just hits him in the face, which was pretty funny. Let's see. And then, so now we get the Ragnar planet, and there's the big solar disk that's in front of the sun. And this is when Nolan explains that the Ragnars are cold-blooded, and they were too powerful for... He's like, I was one of the only survivors from the only team that went there. And we created a solar disk to block out the sun to freeze them. And this is where he's like, but we didn't care about the other 2 planets that had... up and coming civilizations on them. And then I think Alan was like, oh, wow, you really are terrible people. So the planet's completely frozen. They go down there. Alan's like, the gravity here is crazy. Like, even he like struggles when they land.
They did a good job showing that in animation, that they're like trying to fly. And...
It was always the takeoff and a slight like go back down. And you see the ground even kind of ripple a little bit.
Yeah. So Nolan asks them, because they're all frozen. He's like, how are we going to find him? He's like, oh, move the disc a little bit so it thaws and we can get him and then bring him back and put him back on ice. But the captain, in typical venture, happenstance, he's like, fire proton torpedoes. I owe Nolan for what I did to him with the room thing. And he blows up the disc. So the planet starts to thaw. All the Ragnars start to like thaw and attack them. It is a pretty dire scene.
It goes on for a while too.
Yeah, I think that's my only problem that I had. Like, if I had to be like, it's the Ragnar, like, they almost got away multiple times. I'm like, I think that this scene could have been like 3 minutes shorter.
There's some cool moments where, like, I like that Alan kind of has the upper hand. He's like, I've got this. And he's like, you don't. They're still thawing out. Like, he's trying to really explain the stakes of how powerful they are. And it's very dire. They do almost get away a couple of times until finally making it out.
And not for nothing, guys, but like, so the Ragnars are on their planet where gravity is crazy, but they're used to it. So they're stronger than Nolan and Alan. But imagine them off their planet where they're not constricted by that gravity. Imagine how powerful these beings are. Like,
I think that there's a reason they showed so much Ragnars. Like, they have a long scene. Like, these are important creatures.
Yeah, it's not like the bug scene or like anything like that. So.
Yeah, of all of the tools, it's Space Racer and Ragnar's that are like the major important ones.
Yeah. So, I mean, the flying in this scene though was very cool, and again, it led to like the dire feeling. I don't know if you guys have ever had dreams where you can fly, but you really can't. Like you think you can, but you're like, and you get. That's what this felt like, and it was like scarring me. I'm like, wow, this is what that nightmare feels like. Like I want to fly,
nightmare trauma,
but I can't fly. So Talia takes control of the ship and she moves it in front of the sun. Now I'm no physicist, but I don't know if making some shade with a spaceship would necessarily freeze these things again.
I took it as a like they were still thawing out, so covering up the sun caused them to kind of like freeze back. It happens very quickly, and I think that is just because we want to move the episode along and we don't want to have this long drawn out sequence of them getting slower, getting even more weak, and then making it out. But yeah, it was a little bit hand wavy of, and now they can get out.
Even they were like, guys, we got to get out of this. How do we get out of it? We wrote ourselves into a trap. How do we get out of this scene? We need to get out of off the Ragnar planet.
In the comic, they just barely fly away, and they're just like, well, forget it, But I liked incorporating Talia more. I liked like with her commandeering the ship and everything like that. So
it was great. Yeah. So the captain's like, this is mutiny, and she's like, no, not yet. She's like, who wants to be a part of the mutiny? And everybody raises their hand, and she's like, now it's a mutiny. Yeah. So then let me see here. We go back to Telescria. Nolan is a little bit again somber again, and he's really just like thinking about him having to destroy his entire race. And he even talks about this. He's like, their mission, they did terrible things, but their mission was to improve the galaxy and to stop wars. And he's like, and we did make some planets better. And then Alan was like, yeah, but you also destroyed a lot. Like Alan seemed a little unrelenting here. Like he wasn't showing a lot of compassion, which was like frustrating.
Yeah. But I feel like that's good. You can't just, if a character does terrible things and the episode is trying to show like some redemption, you can't just have all the characters around them being like, you know what, you're good now. Like there needs to be that pushback so that it's earned, and so that
the point that Alan makes of like, your people could have taken that scourge virus and thinning down into numbers as like a sign that like, hey, the universe doesn't want this, and they have fought back in such this terrible way to almost kill all of you. They could have taken that message and stopped what they were doing and just rebuilt themselves. And instead they didn't. They turned it up to 11. They kept killing people. They kept trying to enslave planets. And it's like, well, they've shown that even wounding them as badly as they were wounded will not stop them. You know what I mean? Like it very much to me drove home that like, this is the final solution of just getting rid of the Viltrumites.
Yeah. But I think the appropriate thing to do here when someone is wrong, or when you feel that somebody is wrong, I think, and this is real life me talking here, that it is important to still recognize that person's perspective. I think that their perspective is important, and you just don't say you're wrong and walk away. So Alan says they need to be stopped by any means, but it still hurts, and I get it, and I get that it still hurts. And then he hugs Nolan. And it is a really cute moment where and Nolan's like, doesn't know how to be. He's like, what are you doing? And then Alan's like, see, you have changed, because old you would have just punched my head off. And Nolan's like, I still might. And it was just a very like really awesome scene. So back on Telescria, Thetis shows Nolan, he pulls him into this back room where it's the new perfected scourge virus. TJ, are you like cracking walnuts over there? Is that what's going on?
Using a marker. Uncapping a marker.
Gotcha. Cracking walnuts, baby. And he tells him that he was the one who made it. So Nolan flips the script, guys. This is how unstable he's barely holding it together with trying to do this to destroy his race, to find these weapons. He's barely holding on, and he grabs Thetis by the neck and he's like, you killed billions of people. You crippled our race. And then Thetis shoots back at him and he's like, we did it too. Like we need to be destroyed. And Thetis says that he thought, I never really liked Thetis in the comic, and I don't know why. I just didn't like what he stood for some reason. I think that he was kind of, I don't know.
I don't think we get a ton of him in the comic. I think this is a little more than really what we get of his explanation.
Yeah. So he said that he thought that killing Argo would help, but all it did was make their hate grow and make them worse. So he needed to do more. He didn't want to do the Scourge virus, but he had to. So Nolan releases his neck and doesn't kill him, and Nolan makes Thetis promise that the virus will only be used as a final resort. And Thetis says, okay, I will. And then Nolan goes to leave, and he says, where are you going? And Nolan says, to get my son.
My son. And you hear the Invincible theme playing a little bit.
Yeah.
A couple of Thetis moments that I really love in that whole sequence. First, when they're talking about all the weapons and it's just him and Nolan, he's like, it's not enough, right? Like he knows that like they still are not strong enough to beat the Viltrumites. And then after they're talking about the Scourge virus and Nolan says like, do you know how many people you killed? And Thetis like doesn't really get scared. And he just says, no, not until you told me, because our people hid well. Like he very much is not backing down about what he did, while also like admitting to Nolan that he thought about killing himself for the things that he's done because he knows how much pain and suffering he caused, but that he won't do that until all Viltrumites are gone. Like that to me colored in Thetis and Peter Cullen just killing it with every single line and sounding incredible. That whole sequence, again, to your point, Bill, like it made me understand Thetis in a much deeper way than I think I did reading the comic and feel more attached to his character.
Yeah.
Their fight was a great vehicle too to like bookend it as well. Like having those flashes when Nolan's really getting angry. You see the flashes of the children,
the trauma, the PTSD that Nolan still has from it, like.
So I couldn't remember. I knew it was brought up somewhere, but in season 1, I had to look when we started recording. I found it in season 1 when Mark and Nolan are on top of that mountaintop. He mentions his parents. And he says to Mark, when your grandparents died, I was lost for a really long time. Like and having like, come on.
Yeah. And and we didn't necessarily equate that with the Scourge virus. And now it's all tied in. Oh, they're so smart. I know.
Wyatt, you're so mad, dude.
I'm happy. I'm just like, I'm frustrated that I didn't put those dots together because all we do is talk about Invincible. I think that's where the anger comes from, is that like, I feel like I should see the Matrix at this point, and they keep just pulling the curtain further back, and I go, oh my gosh.
And it used to be frustrating to me because we throw so much out there that we're like, we have to be right. There has to, and they always just beat us. They always find a way.
Remind us why they are professional writers,
That's right.
And we're just a bunch of stupid fanboys. So we get the after credit scene, which TJ called and gets 1,000,000 points for the whatever it is.
2-0.
2-0. So we get
ready for episode 3.
Conquest walking up to the throne, and he has his new arm with the purple light on it, which is very cool. Krieg calls him an animal, and he's like, bow down, you animal. And Conquest is like, I'm sorry, I failed you.
Please punish me.
Yeah, I let my overconfidence. I forget what he said exactly, but he was like the boy and his witch.
Yeah, that was a great line, because I don't think that's in the comic where he calls Eve like his witch, which is such a a cool way for a Viltrumite to describe Eve.
And Conquest begs for Thrag to kill him in the most painful way imaginable, so he can be used as an example.
Yeah.
And Thrag stands up and walks down towards Conquest and says, I will not reward failure. You have work to do yet. And that's how the
torturing him to death
would be a reward.
Yeah, exactly.
And I understand it now. I get it. That's why I would be okay if no one crushed my head from behind, because I didn't get an answer right.
all for the good of Viltrum.
Yep, we are one.
Wild, we are one.
Yep. So there we go, guys. That's the episode.
Woo!
Woo!
It's a good one.
Doodly. That was a good one. So I think now we go on to our doodles, right?
Doodle time.
Doodle time.
Any
Doodle time.
predictions? Any predictions?
Oh yeah, predictions.
What everyone doodled.
I have so many predictions.
Space Racer. I'm just putting it out there. I don't know who did it. But I feel like Wyatt did Space Racer.
You're in the right avenue. I will say, drew 2 different scenes from the opening montage because all of that was all I could think about when this episode was done. Man, it's hard to draw people in more than just like a straight on pose. Tried to draw the Thetis statue with his arm like this and was like, that arm doesn't look right. I'm not going to do this with my doodle.
Yeah.
So yes, I went with a much easier, very low effort doodle on my part this time.
Ooh.
Just the Infinity Ray. Just
Nice.
the gun, sitting on the rocks there.
Very good.
Like
Very cool. Who drew the rings? Did anyone draw rings around the?
I thought about that. I thought about that one. Nice.
Look at
Ryan! It's so good.
Ryan! Dude, how did that?
Great.
Did you start that last night?
No, this morning I did it for a while.
When I was drawing the Argyle statue, it had the piles next to it, and I was doing stick figures. I was like, this is going to take way too long. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. I was like, I'd love to do the ring. I'm like, but I can't draw all those people. I'm like, stick figures.
TJ, you drew Nolan with the pillow wrapped around his head.
No.
I was going to say, I think he drew Nolan with the hood on because TJ loves a character in a hood.
Oh, he does.
And when
love
Nolan
hoods.
pulls up and he put the hood on, TJ was like, oh, hell yeah, a hood. I guess.
Fucking hoods.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
Knew it. All day.
Very good.
It's such because it's also rare that we've seen Nolan in like another like costume like outfit,
Anytime
and it looked very cool.
Yeah, anytime we get a cool costume change, that's like, all right, I'll buy that action figure if you make a
sucker for a good hood.
So, predictions?
I'm gonna throw a couple out there.
Oh, Geldarian.
Oh,
there you go, Wyatt.
Yeah,
there you go.
Oh, Bill
nailed it.
Wow,
I got
not bad, right?
That's one of your best. That's really good.
Is it really? I thought it was really shitty. I was like, He looks like a cat. He looks like a cat Ninja Turtle.
They do kind of have like
put it in front of your face and do a Troy Baker impression.
Oh God. I can't fucking do it.
Good doodles, everybody. Good
job. Yeah. We're up in the game.
Yeah, we are.
So we know what's happening next. Oh no, wait. Oh, we don't know what's happening. This is episode
3, guys, is the one I am most curious about. We know 4 is hell. We are assuming after hell we're doing some stuff. We know from the comics.
Yeah.
So 3 is the biggest question, and all I've got is I think we know in the trailer we see Eve working on her powers. I think we're going to get more of that.
Yes.
I think that's the after credit scene too, is Eve stuff. There is a moment during this era, right before Invincible returns, where Titan is involved again and Mr. Liu, and that would be interesting. I predict that we will see nothing in space.
You were speculating a lot about the Order possibly coming back in last episode as well, so it could be some of that. I agree. I think Eve messing with her powers, and I think the reveal of why Eve's powers are messing up comes next episode. And I think you're right, Ryan. I think it could be post credits, and I think Flaxens. I think that we see.
I think Flaxens would make a lot of sense
if
we want the time to progress, and then the end of the Flaxen thing to be at the end of the season. But that would be something that a good cutaway from space. You know what? I don't think we're going to get cutaways from space later in the season.
I just don't know how they're going to fucking top this. I don't know how they're going to top this episode. I really don't know. I really don't know how it's not going to feel like a screeching halt, and I'm going to be surprised. And I know it's going to be fantastic, but I'm sorry. They fucking went 100 miles an hour with this episode.
Yeah,
so
they killed it.
My predictions were more Guardian growth, character growth, Titan. I'm hoping this comes true, but that we see Shrinking Ray just to catch up. I want to see her.
Yeah.
Same.
And Robot and Amanda stuff. And then for the end, I had Nolan and Alan and Tech Jacket return to Earth, but Tech Jacket won't be with them. You're going to be returning.
What if
their
we get
return? And then again, episode 4. The reason why I had that is because I'm convinced that, like, every time we talk about episode 4, we're like, "Up, that's the hell episode." There's going to be a lot more to that episode.
I think that's just the first half.
Yeah.
And I think the second half is going to involve Conquest.
Oh,
of 4.
Wow.
I think 4 could end. I think 4 could end with Conquest this year.
Yes.
We're going to, but and I agree that I don't think Hell's going to be all of 4, because I think we have to come out of Hell. We got to have a costume change. We have to get everybody together who's going on the mission. Let's all start the mission. That's going to be
5-10 minutes.
Half an episode. It could be.
This is out of time, but during the premiere, Kirkman said the confrontation with Debbie and Nolan's great. So
that's true.
Oh God. Oh God.
He said they fight and it's great. And I assume that means a fight.
I feel like we shouldn't be making predictions for 4, but because we haven't watched 3 yet. But I'm thinking also, like, what I had down originally was the what's going on with Eve reveal.
Yeah.
It's a mid-season finale. They're going to load it up. You think that's 3?
I think that's the end of 3.
Yeah. I think it'll be 4.
Because she's going to keep it from Mark and 4.
Yeah. All right. So that's it. Again, go to our YouTube, like, subscribe, and become a member if you'd like to. We will absolutely shout out your name and celebrate you. Thank you again for the members that have already joined. You can write us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. You can see us over at Twitter. We're going to start doing a ton of TikToks, so make sure that you follow us over at TikTok. Wyatt does a lot of cool TikToks. And then also just subscribe, because we're going to be dropping a lot more like short videos, a lot of content like Ryan's
and long videos. We got them all.
And long videos. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff. So until next time, I'm Bill.
I'm Ryan.
Wyatt.
Okay, bye.
He's not TJ. All right, bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
On this episode, we get to talk about episode 2 prediction, or no, episode. Fuck me. God damn it. It's been like 8 years since I've done this shit. Hello.
We're in the goof. We're in the goof. We're in the goof.
It's happening. Let me out.
Let me out of the goof.
How do I get out?